Do you ever notice how some game boundaries feel completely fine, and others make you want to throw your controller? Take GTA 4. You start on the first island, and there are these bridges connecting to the rest of Liberty City. You can see them, you can walk right up to them, but try to cross too early? Instant 6-star wanted level. The entire police force and military descend on you. Helicopters, SWAT teams, you're getting absolutely demolished. But hey, if you're skilled enough, you can actually make it across. The game doesn't want you there yet, but it doesn't stop you with an invisible wall. It stops you with consequences. Now compare that to Red Dead Redemption 2. You're playing as Arthur Morgan, and you try to explore New Austin, the desert area from the first game, and then you just die. First, some bounty hunters show up, but then an invisible sniper kills you instantly. Arthur Morgan, who survives dozens of gunshots throughout the story, drops dead to someone he can't see. Same developer, by the way. Both are stopping you from going somewhere they don't want you to go yet, but one preserves the illusion that you're in a living, dangerous world with actual rules. The other shatters the illusion by killing you with something that doesn't exist. What's the difference? There are 3 principles that separate brilliant boundary design from terrible boundary design. Principles that explain why some boundaries feel like natural edges of a living world, and the others just feel like you walked face first into the developer's unfinished work. And once you see these principles, you can't unsee them. The first principle is the foundation everything else builds on. It's about agency. Let me show you what I mean using the masterclass of Fallout New Vegas. You start the game in Good Springs, a tiny town in Mojave Wasteland. Vegas is directly north of you, and you can see it on your map. That's where you need to go. Obsidian didn't want you going north immediately. They wanted you to take the long way around, meet the factions, see the world, understand the stakes before you waltz into the city. They could have just put an invisible wall there. You know, problem solved, right? Instead, they put death claws. Quarry Junction sits on the direct northern route, and it is packed with about a dozen death claws, including an alpha male with like 500 plus HP and massive damage resistance. You're standing there with a varmint rifle that deals maybe 15 damage per shot. Do the math. But the game doesn't stop you from doing it. NPCs at Sloan explicitly warn you about the death claws. Hell, even the official strategy guide calls Quarry Junction arguably the most dangerous area in the Mojave Wasteland. You can see the death claws from a distance. You can hear them. The game is screaming at you that this is a bad idea, and if you ignore all that and go anyway, you die. Horribly. But you chose to try. Otherwise, there is the alternative northern path past Good Springs Cemetery, but that's got cazadors, giant mutated tarantula hawk wasps that were personally designed by the project director Josh Sawyer, who calls them his proudest addition to the game. They attack in swarms. Their poison damage exceeds giant rad scorpions. They have erratic flight patterns that make them nearly impossible to hit at low levels. Even one sting can kill you. So you're forced to go south, through Prem, east through Nipton, where you witness the Legion's brutality firsthand, north to Novak, where you can recruit companions. Eventually, you reach Vegas after about 3 to 5 additional hours of gameplay. That detour teaches you about every major faction, establishes the political stakes, and lets you level up naturally. But the brilliant part is that skilled players can bypass all of it. Speedrunners grab stealth boys from the Good Springs schoolhouse. They climb terrain the Deathclaws can't navigate. They exploit AI pathing. And well, some of them just cripple their leg, blow themselves up, and reload dash all the way to New Vegas. The game rewards knowledge without punishing ignorance. What New Vegas did was create a soft boundary. It preserves your agency while still guiding you where the developers want you to go. Another excellent example is Breath of the Wild, where stamina gates your exploration. Climbing consumes stamina, swimming consumes stamina, gliding consumes stamina, sprinting consumes stamina. Early game, you physically cannot traverse large obstacles. The Great Plateau tutorial area is bounded by cliffs you can't climb and freezing mountains that drain your health faster than you can heal. You have to complete the 4 shrines and get the paraglider before you can leave. Later in the game, stamina upgrades feel like rewards that unlock previously inaccessible areas, though Breath of the Wild also has those insta-kill barriers. Besides the point for now. Let's look at the opposite, by going back to Red Redemption 2 from the intro. As mentioned before, Arthur can't enter New Austin during the story. He's wanted dead or alive there. Rockstar actually does this well at first. Try to enter Blackwater, Pinkerton bounty hunters spawn endlessly, wave after wave of lawmen hunting you down. That's a soft boundary. You can try to fight through, but good luck. But if you somehow glitch past the Pinkertons and get into New Austin proper, an invisible sniper kills you instantly. That's a hard boundary, and it feels awful. Same goes for games like Battlefield. Leave the designated play area in Battlefield and you get a countdown on your screen. Return to Battlefield in 10, 9, 8, and when it hits 0, you explode. Doesn't matter if you're in a helicopter that needs 15 seconds to turn around, doesn't matter if you're actively heading back towards the battlefield, doesn't matter if you accidentally drifted 2 feet over the invisible line. Timer hits 0, you die. And that makes all the difference in the way players experience things. Soft boundaries allow you to try everything you want and leave you in complete freedom, but they will try to work against you to make you play the game as developers intended. Hard boundaries don't give you any freedom and just strip away your ability to choose. You play it exactly the way it was intended, or you don't play at all. Now, I have to address the elephant in the room. Yes, Fallout New Vegas also does have hard boundaries, like the invisible walls that keep you going from outside the map. And yes, other games mentioned today do also have the stupid invisible wall stuff, but that's not the point I'm trying to make here today. There's both soft and hard boundaries in several games, and to create the best out-of-bounds experience for players, soft boundaries create legendary moments. You can even hide Easter eggs in there, but that's also where it gets trickier. Let me show you something weird. Skyrim has invisible barriers around the map. Boring. But there's also mountains everywhere. Massive, steep, impassable mountains that form natural boundaries around the playable area. Players accept these mountains as just part of the world. It makes sense for some of the mountains to be impassable. Now compare that to Half-Life 2. You've got a crowbar, you've been using it to break wooden crates, smash through rotting planks, pry open supply boxes. The game has trained you that crowbars break wood. You've come to a wooden fence blocking your path, you swing your crowbar, nothing. The fence is indestructible, and you try another wooden fence 10 minutes later, and that one breaks instantly. Wait, what? Or take Silent Hill. You're exploring this nightmare town, fighting monsters with a metal pipe, you've been smashing monsters' skulls, breaking through rotted furniture, using this pipe as a weapon for hours. And you try to open a locked wooden door. Nope, it's locked. Okay, so break it down? You have a metal pipe, you've been killing monsters with it. Nope, can't break the door. 95% of the doors in the game just say, it's locked, with no key anywhere. Your character can bash in a monster's skull, but can't break through a wooden door. Or in Assassin's Creed, you're an assassin with superhuman parkour abilities. You can climb any building, leap across rooftops, and survive massive falls into hay bales. The game has spent hours establishing that you are incredibly mobile. You can go anywhere. Then you start a story mission and walk 20 feet off the designated path. Warning, leaving memory area, desynchronization imminent. Walk another 10 feet, mission failed. Start over. Hold on, you can scale Notre Dame Cathedral, but you can't walk 30 feet to the left? What's happening here? In every case, the game taught you a rule. Mountains are impassable, crowbars break wood, you have a metal weapon. You are an agile assassin. And then the game violated its own rule with no explanation. Skyrim's mountains work because they're consistent and true to the game's own rules and setting. Half-Life 2's wood doesn't work because it's inconsistent. Sometimes wood breaks, sometimes it doesn't, and there's no visual difference to tell you which is which. Silent Hill's locked doors don't work because they contradict your abilities. You have a weapon capable of killing monsters, but wooden doors are somehow stronger than monster skulls? Assassin's Creed's mission boundaries don't work because they contradict the freedom you just spent hours establishing. You can parkour across an entire city, but suddenly you're restricted to a 50-foot radius? That leads me to the second principle. Boundaries must be consistent with your rules your game has already established. If your boundary contradicts abilities the player has everywhere else, it breaks trust. Players learn the rules of your world, what they can and cannot do, what objects behave in what ways, what their character is capable of. When boundaries violate those rules, it feels like the developer forgot their own game. Or worse, it feels like they ran out of time and they just threw up arbitrary restrictions hoping players wouldn't notice. Take another example of a game that does this really well. Beyond the map in Subnautica, the ocean becomes completely lifeless, just empty void. This is consistent with the game establishing the creatures need ecosystems. The game has spent hours teaching you about biomes, food chains, ecological balance, so when you reach the edge and find nothing, it makes sense. Of course nothing lives out here. There's no ecosystem to support life. Then Ghost Leviathans spawn, and you've already seen other Leviathans in the game. You know they're apex predators. You know they're dangerous. Everything tracks with the rules the game has already taught you. Besides that, it's a soft boundary. You can continue traversing the void, but you'll be at great risk of dying. So we've got soft boundaries that preserve agency and consistent boundaries that preserve trust. But let me show you something that separates good soft boundaries from great ones. Imagine you're playing a fishing game and you decide to sail towards the edge of the map to see what happens. Let's say there's two possibilities here. In the first one, you're sailing. Everything's normal. Suddenly, a giant monster appears and eats your boat. No warning, you're just dead. You respawn at the dock thinking, what the hell just happened? Second possibility, you're sailing towards the edge of the map, but now the fog starts getting a bit thicker. You keep going, you notice your panic meter rising. An icon at the top of the screen goes from a calm closed crescent to starting to open. It's blue now. You keep going, hallucinations start appearing. A rock that wasn't there a second ago. A ship in the distance that vanishes when you look directly at it. You keep going. The fog is really thick now. Your panic eye is wide open, twitching, turning orange-red. More hallucinations, tentacles reaching up from the water, your boat is creaking. And still, you keep going. Your panic is maxed out, the eye is glowing red, fully dilated. A huge monster starts circling your boat even though you're not at the edge yet. Everything is screaming at you to turn back. As you keep going towards the actual map edge, the Leviathan rises out of the water and swallows you whole. Same setting, same death. But in the first version, it feels like you got ambushed. In the second one, it feels like you ignored every single warning and found out what happens. That's what made Out of Bounds so memorable for Dredge. A great example for the third principle. Good boundaries escalate, bad boundaries appear suddenly. Dredge has an entire system that escalates as you approach danger. Fog starts getting thicker, panic goes up, a Leviathan appears. When you die, you don't feel cheated, you feel like you pushed it too far. GTA 5 does something similar. The game needs you to stop from swimming to the edge of the map, and they could have just used an invisible wall or instant death zone. Instead, they built also Escalation. When you drive your boat far into the ocean, everything's fine at first. You're getting some distance from the land, and no big deal. You keep going. Eventually your engine will shut down. And if it couldn't get any worse, sharks show up. Oh yeah, and then they attack. If you somehow survive, more sharks appear, and then you die. None of this happens instantly. The pressure just keeps building until most players go, yeah, this isn't worth it, or if it's too late already. That's Escalation. Multiple systems compounding you to turn back without forcing you. It matters because players feel like they're making informed decisions. When boundaries appear suddenly with no escalation, like being shot with an invisible insta-kill sniper, it feels cheap. You had no agency, no decision to make, just punishment for something you couldn't see coming. It doesn't just work on soft boundaries, it works on hard boundaries as well. Elden Ring has fog walls you cannot pass until you meet certain conditions, but From Software escalates towards them. First, you see the golden light glowing in the distance, a visual clue that something significant is ahead. As you get closer, the glow becomes more obvious. You can tell it's some kind of barrier. You reach it. It's clearly a fog wall, and when you try to walk through, a message appears with clear communication about what's blocking you and why. Like the golden seal at Erdtree entrance stating, sealed by Morgau. It's a hard boundary, and you cannot pass no matter what, but you saw it coming from far away. You approached it gradually, and you got clear feedback about why you can't pass. So that's the three principles. 1. Soft boundaries preserve agency. You can choose to push forward, and nothing will actually stop you right away. 2. Consistent boundaries preserve trust. They follow the world's established rules. And 3. Escalating boundaries preserve fairness. You get multiple warnings before consequences. So what is your favorite out of bounds moment in any video game? Now, speaking of games like Dredge with that panic system, the hallucinations, the Leviathan rising out of the fog, that's actually a masterclass in a completely different design principle, because there's a specific reason why sailing towards the boundary feels terrifying instead of just annoying. It's the same reason why Alien Isolation keeps you scared for hours, while most horror games lose their tension after 20 minutes. I broke down exactly how that works in my last video. Click here to watch it.